That was River House, by the way.
Yes, it was River House.
Right. That was an experiment that we were doing. I want to give a. We had a gal that sent us. She had a camel doll that her family had. A gentleman had brought over from Egypt, and she had it in her family for a long time. And we were doing what was called the haunted doll project, and we wanted to do an attachment haunting with a doll. And we waited and waited, and we put the word out, and we didn't think we were ever going to find an authentically haunted doll. We just didn't think that was going to happen. And then this gal from Florida. This gal, I keep reading my Twitter. My Twitter's going crazy right now. This gal from Florida sends us this haunted doll from Egypt. It's a camel doll. It's a camel with a rider on it, and it's over 50 years old, handmade. That had an attachment haunting, a pretty good attachment haunting. Come to find out, she thought that was just a small child, but we had a psychic medium who said no. There's also a malevolent spirit of a woman who's been dead for over 100 years attached to that doll as well. She's very angry, and she will try to harm and so forth. In fact, that gal's name, that psychic medium's name was Jackie Bowling. Anyway, so what we were trying to do, we had the River House. This is a house that is down close to the river, and the river's flowing over limestone. And the theory is that generates electromagnetic energy, which spirits can feed off of. And so we thought we would take this haunted doll into that environment and film an investigation and an episode at that point. We got a heck of a lot more than what we expected. We got a lot more than we bargained for. And we ended up at a turning point, I would say. Big shout out to Jennifer Angel, Jen Angel 13 on Twitter. So I see you on here there, Jen, and I appreciate you listening tonight. That's excellent. She's from New Jersey. Anyway, we went in and we were doing a ghost box session in the dining room of the River House, and using a technique called provocation. And that's when things got out of hand. We ended up at a point where, and you've seen the interviews, and if you go watch the video of River House or watch your video that you made, Renee, you see my reaction, and Jim's reaction was the same. In fact, I'll tell you what happened. Basically, the long story short, we're using provocation, and we were trying to get a response over the ghost box, and we did get some responses in the ghost box, but we got a lot more than we expected. And what happened was the chair. Now, this chair is completely on the other side of the table, and it's all the way up against the wall. It's a long ways from both Jim and I, but it comes off the wall and it slams into the table. And our reaction was to jump up and start running away from the table. Well, the table jumps, and it looks like it launches towards Jim. I really want to say that Jim probably, it's just like in the case of Aaron Goodwin with the Ghost Adventures crew. Jim was probably exhibiting a little bit more fear than I was, a little bit more energy, fear energy. The table actually launches and jumps towards Jim. It's a very startling thing to see. But what you don't see, and it's a little bit professionally embarrassing, is that I ran over the top of the camera, and then Jim and I both ran down the hallway, through the living area, and out the front door, and it took us about a half an hour before we ever went back into the house.
Oh, sure.
Right. And it was quite a bit later, 45 minutes to an hour later, before we were to calm down and turn on the camera and film those interviews that we did to talk about what had happened.
Wow.
Right.
Well, see, so then I wouldn't be the only one running.
We don't run. It's a funny thing, and I can kind of relate to Zach Bagans, to Zach and to Nick and to Aaron. After a period of time, because we've been doing this for a little while now, and after a while, you start to get a little thick-skinned. You start to get, you get into these environments and you feel these negative energies, and in the dark, that's pretty. Even in the daytime, it's pretty. It disarms you very much. You feel the energy hit your body. The hair on your arm stands straight up. You get goosebumps. You feel the anger. You feel the hatred. You feel the fear. All these different emotions are going through you. You're having the same emotions, and you see things that you never expected to see before you ever got into something like this. So. But after it seems like after a time, at least it did for me and for Jim, is you start to build a skin towards it. You start to get a thicker skin, and we try now to run towards things rather than run away from them. But to date, I would say River House is still the most startling thing that's ever occurred to us.